The rain clawed at the hospital windows like a wounded spirit. Amara blinked into the sterile white ceiling, her chest tight, her body raw from the surgery. The last thing she remembered before the anesthesia dragged her under was Henry's hand in hers. Cool, steady, promising. But that hand wasn't there now. She turned slowly, wincing at the pain in her side. Nurses floated in and out of the ward like shadows. The TV in the corner mumbled about a politician's scandal, but Amara barely heard it. She searched for her phone. No missed calls. No texts. Nothing from Henry. Welcome to Moonlit Stories, where moonlight meets myth. Love timeless tales? Then hit like, subscribe, and join the circle. Every story begins with you. They had survived so much. 3 miscarriages, his job loss, her father's burial, his mother's stroke. Through it all, Henry always said, "You and me, Mara, no matter what." Just last week, he kissed her forehead and said, "This is just another bump. You're my home." But the hospital smelled of dental and betrayal. Midnight came. Her throat was dry and scratchy. She reached for the paper cup of water by her bedside. The door creaked open, and for a heartbeat, she hoped. But it was Chidioke, her older brother. His face wore a familiar look. Bad news. He placed a nylon bag of gala and La Casser on the table. "Where's Henry?" she asked, trying to sound casual. Chidioke's jaw tightened. "He left. Said he had something to handle. Gave me your keys. I brought your things from the house." Amara's heart thudded. Something to handle? What could be more important than her surviving surgery? She wanted to scream, but only silence filled the room. In the days that followed, she waited. No messages, no flowers, no Henry, just one note taped to her fridge. "You'll be okay. Please don't call." 3 days. That's how long Amara stayed in the hospital, surrounded by machines and strangers who didn't know her name beyond the chart. Her brother Chidioke came every afternoon, brought her hot unlaw once, a wig the next day to hide the hospital hair, he said with a half-smile. But still, nothing from Henry. Not a text, not a call, not even a forwarded meme. Each beep from her phone gave her a flicker of hope, but it was never him. Only her old uni group chat, Tokay sharing gossip, or airtime promos from Glow. She finally returned home in a wheelchair, the rain pattering on the roof of Chidioke's Corolla. Their estate in Yaba was quiet, too quiet. She entered the house and knew immediately. Henry was gone. The air was stale, his cologne, that sandalwood scent she once loved, had vanished. In the bathroom, his pink toothbrush was gone. In the bedroom, the photo of their getaway to Calabar was missing from the dresser. His side of the wardrobe was empty. His sneakers, gone. She stood frozen for a moment. Then she saw it, the note on the fridge. One line in Henry's hurried handwriting. "You'll be okay. Please don't call." That was it. No explanation. No goodbye. Just silence. Her knees buckled. She sank to the cold tiles, clutching the note as if it could rewind time. Her throat burned, but no tears came. Over the next few days, she existed like a shadow. Tokay brought a gussie soup, tried to cheer her up. Amara nodded through it, but her mind was blank. She tried Henry's number once. Straight to voicemail. His Instagram was private. His Facebook had a new profile picture. Him alone, smiling, suit sharp, as if she never existed. It was Tokay who finally said it. Of course it was. Tokay never knew how to keep bad news gentle. "Amara, don't vex," she began, placing a steaming bowl of catfish pepper soup on the table. "But my cousin Ada works at that hotel in Lekki, the fancy one near the toll gate." She saw Henry. Amara didn't look up. She was busy pulling at a loose thread on her wrapper. Tokay continued, slower now. "He was with that lawyer babe. You remember Mornike, right? The one from Babcock, always forming Queen of Ikoyi? They were holding hands, matching outfits, shopping for rings." Amara's spoon trembled. The pepper soup smelled rich, scent leaf fresh fish, well spiced, but it tasted like ash. She set it down and stared at the wall. "He looked happy," Tokay added, her voice barely above a whisper. The silence that followed was so loud, it rang in Amara's ears. Her chest felt hollow, as if something vital had been carved out. Still, she didn't cry. Her tears had dried up somewhere between the anesthesia and the note on the fridge. The days blurred. She stopped picking her calls. She didn't post, didn't eat much. Her old friend sent messages filled with worry and prayers. Chijioke tried to drag her out for air, even brought Zobo one evening and said, "You go let one man finish you like this?" But Amara didn't answer. She stared at her reflection in the window and wondered, what kind of woman gets left after surgery? Had she not been enough? Was her pain too loud? Her love too quiet? It wasn't until the court document arrived, sealed, stamped, official, that she realized Henry wasn't confused. He was done. Filed in Lagos State High Court. 2 weeks after the surgery, Amara packed a small suitcase and booked a flight to Lagos Island. She told no one, not even Chijioke. She needed answers, and she needed to see his face when she asked him why. The hotel she checked into sat just off Admiralty Way, not far from where Tokei's cousin said Henry was staying. The July heat clung to her skin like guilt. She wore a red dress that hugged her curves, her favorite wig, and sunglasses that concealed eyes rimmed with silent ache. For 2 days, she moved like a private detective, scrolling through his tagged photos, watching his followers list, tracking his footprints through digital crumbs. And then it happened. Outside the high court at Tafawa Square, she saw them, Henry, and more Nike. He wore a navy blue Senator and that wristwatch he once swore he couldn't afford. Mornike's wig was bone straight, her smile sharp, and on her finger gleamed a diamond ring so large it caught the sun. Amara didn't move. From the safety of her Uber, she watched them walk to a sleek black Range Rover. They laughed. They touched. They looked free. It was a freedom that burned most. She didn't confront him. She didn't scream or weep. The truth was now a living, breathing thing. He'd started a new life, and she wasn't part of the plot. Back at the hotel, she removed the wig, wiped off her lipstick, and stared at herself in the mirror. Her cheekbones were sharper, her eyes tired but awake. She touched the healing scar under her collarbone, the one no one would ever see, the one Henry had never stayed long enough to ask about. Tomorrow, she would return home. But tonight, she mourned the woman she used to be. Back in Yaba, Amara unlocked her front door like someone entering a museum of memories. Everything was still in place, but colder, emptier. The couch where they'd once cuddled through movie nights. The wine glasses he insisted on buying for class. Her home had become a mausoleum for a life that no longer existed. She texted Chijioke 2 words, "I'm back," then followed with, "I'm done." She meant it. The next week, she let Tokei drag her to Edge Lounge in Surulere. She sat beneath pink neon lights, surrounded by laughter and loud Afrobeats. It felt strange, like watching someone else's life. But when the bartender placed a mango cocktail in front of her, she drank it. She started taking walks again. A little sun each morning. Quiet prayers whispered under her breath. She cut her hair short, a sharp bob that made her look like a CO, even if she didn't feel like one yet. And then the shift came. Not loud, not flashy, just a growing flame in her chest. She opened her home office for the first time in weeks, dusted off her old files, pulled up spreadsheets and archived emails. Her old tech startup idea, the one she shelved when Henry got promoted, still lived in those folders. Now she read through them with new eyes. She made calls, quiet ones, to her lawyer cousin in Abuja, to a developer friend in Port Harcourt. She scheduled meetings on Zoom using a new name, Adora Jones. Chijioke noticed her change, but didn't ask questions. "You're healing?" he asked one evening. She smiled, slow and sharp. "No, I'm building." Henry thought she was broken, that she'd fold. But Amara was no longer grieving. She was plotting, and she didn't need anyone's permission. Amara moved in silence. No status updates. No watch the space tweets. Just quiet progress. She declined brunch invites, skipped weddings, ignored Tokei's weekly karaoke requests. Even Chijioke started to worry. "You day all right?" he asked one evening, watching her highlight rows on a spreadsheet like her life depended on it. I'm handling it, she said. And she was, efficiently, ruthlessly. She registered a new company, Genetic Systems, under Adora Jones. She transferred old savings from joint accounts before the lawyers could freeze anything. She reached out to 3 women she trusted, former colleagues with bright minds and bitter stories of being overlooked by men like Henry. They met in cafes, co-working spaces, on Zoom at midnight. They plotted a revolution dressed in an IT pitch deck. Meanwhile, whispers trickled through the Lagos tech grapevine. A startup in Yaba, female-led, discreet, backed by serious offshore money. Henry, on the other hand, was living like a Lagos influencer. Instagram was his playground. Soft launch engagement, matching at bodice shoots with more Nike, bottles at Cubana, hashtags like hashtag new beginnings and hashtag blessing focused. He didn't know he was standing on financial quicksand. Investors were pulling back. His proposed startup was hemorrhaging before it even launched. Amara watched it unfold like a slow play. She never commented, never messaged, never warned him. She was preparing for a different kind of launch. Every night, she sat in her dimly lit office with the AC humming and 2 mugs on the table. One for coffee, the other for resolve. She revised business plans. Read up on tech acquisition law. Ask questions men didn't expect her to understand. By early September, she was ready. A name change, a fresh bank account, a deal that would shake the entire industry. And when it hit, Henry Obiekwe wouldn't see it coming. It began with whispers on Twitter. A rumor here, a repost there. Tech bros argued in threads while journalists scrambled for sources. By midday, it was official. Genetic Systems had acquired controlling shares in Digisphere Technologies, one of Nigeria's fastest rising firms. The figure? 10 billion naira. Nobody knew who was behind it. By evening, every major outlet, Business Day, Tech Cabal, even Channels TV, was buzzing. Mystery billionaire shakes up Nigerian tech space. Anonymous female CEO restructures Lagos market. Analysts speculated. Blogs guessed. No one got it right. Then came the press conference. The venue, Radisson Blu, Victoria Island. A woman walked to the podium, camera flashes flickering like lightning behind her. She wore a custom gray suit, natural hair cropped low. Lips painted a soft, defiant red. Her voice, when she spoke, was steady as stone. Good afternoon. My name is Adora Jones, and as of today, I am the CEO of Genetic Systems. Gasps echoed, but one gasp, one sharp, gutted inhale, happened miles away. In a cramped Airbnb apartment on the mainland, Henry sat with his phone frozen in his palm. More Nike yelling about rent and network failures. His laptop battery blinked red. His startup dashboard was empty. Funding gone, partners withdrawn, debts piling. And there she was, his ghost, his ex-wife, standing on a global stage in front of every investor he'd ever lied to. He dialed her old number. It was disconnected. He emailed. It bounced. He called Toke. She laughed and blocked him. He texted Chijioke. No reply. He had left Amara in pain, in silence, in pieces. Now she stood reborn, untouchable, unreachable, and utterly uninterested. In that moment, Henry understood. She was no longer his past. She was a storm that swallowed his future. Weeks passed, and Amara, now Adora, became a name spoken in boardrooms with respect and curiosity. Her face graced magazine covers. Her quotes headlined newsletters. Her business moves inspired think pieces. But she wasn't chasing fame. She was building legacy. Her team was tight. Women from Unilag's engineering department, coders from Yabatech, product designers who'd once freelanced for scraps. She paid them well, treated them better, and built an empire around shared scars and sharp minds. The Genetic Systems office in Lekki was minimalist, sunlit, humming with innovation. Every detail was hers, from the purple hibiscus planted at the gate to the motivational mural that read, "They buried us. They didn't know we were seeds." Toke visited one afternoon, jaw dropping as she walked past the biometric security door. "You? Madam CEO?" she whispered. Amara smiled. "I told you I wasn't healing. I was preparing." Chijio came to one Saturday with suya and coconut water. He stared around the compound like he'd stepped into a dream. Mama would have been proud, he said, voice thick. Amara didn't cry. She cried enough. Now she created. Now she conquered. Henry? He vanished from headlines. His startup collapsed. More Nike left him when the money. Rumor had it Henry took a job at a small tech firm in Acadia. Entry level, no benefits. Gone were the Gucci loafers and rooftop brunches. His calls no longer got returned. His name no longer opened doors. But Amara didn't care. She never spoke about him publicly. Never dragged him online. Never even corrected the journalists who called her Adora Jones with reverence and mystery. Her silence became its own power. One day, as she walked through her office, clipboard in hand, she passed a glass boardroom where 3 young women pitched a new AI tool to investors. They were brilliant, nervous, hungry. She saw her old self in them, pre-Henry, pre-heartbreak, pre-scar. And she smiled, because this was what she had built. Not just revenge, not just wealth, a sanctuary, a system, a future. When she finally sat at her desk, the city humming outside, Amara opened the drawer where she kept the only thing she'd saved from her old life, the note Henry left on the fridge. You'll be okay. Please don't call. She unfolded it, smoothing the creases, and with a quiet laugh, slipped it into the shredder. Let the past disintegrate. She stood, walked to the window, and watched the clouds over Lecky begin to gather. The air smelled like rain and electricity. She no longer waited for storms. She became one. And every time her heels echoed across the marble floor, every time her voice commanded a boardroom or her name lit up a headline, Lagos remembered the woman it tried to forget. Not Henry's wife, not the woman left behind, but the force it could never silence, the storm it couldn't outrun, the woman Lagos couldn't ignore.